Jess, where are you right now?
Hello, Rosalind. Right now I'm out of the house with my husband.
Well, at the moment, I'm standing in front of your guys' house. So, would you two please hurry up and come back home?
I'm sorry, Rosalind, but we're not able to go back home just yet.
What? Then when are you guys coming home today?
I think we won't be going back home until later this afternoon or into the evening. We're over in Ohio right now, and we only just got here an hour or so ago.
So, what you're telling me is that you'll be away from home all day? Why didn't you guys tell me anything about that sooner? Couldn't one of you have told me that today you both wouldn't be there, and for me to not come over?
Neither of us thought that you'd be coming over to see us today. I'm very sorry about that.
I am coming over to your guys' house almost every day, aren't I? What were you both thinking not telling me about your trip out of the state today? I can't read your minds like you may think.
And I am very sorry for not telling you anything about this. Next time, we'll both make sure that one of us sends you a text letting you know we're gone.
Please do that for me. You are already a wife to my son, and yet you are still making even the most simple mistakes.
Huh?
I can see that you have a mountain's worth of things that you need to be taught. Aren't you aware that I have a lot of things going on myself, and that my schedule is always packed? If you don't start acting like the wife that you are currently, then I'm going to have a word with Seth about you.
Okay, I'll be more careful from now on.
Are you really sorry for the things you've been doing? Or do you just think that saying sorry to me will get me to forget you have all those problems?
That's not at all why I'm saying that. I'm sorry.
I'm not too sure about that, though. You'll never be able to do things like make consistent food for my son. And when it comes to the chores, you are always leaving things unfinished and forcing my son to have to take care of them. I get the feeling that you don't really care to take care of and support my son like a proper wife should. And just the other day, you forgot to brew his morning coffee, didn't you?
That day I wasn't feeling too good. I didn't forget to brew his coffee, rather I really just couldn't get myself out of bed.
Not doing it because you didn't feel well is the same thing as pretty much forgetting about it, Jess. From what I've learned about these past couple of months, you are not good enough to really be my son's wife anymore. Do you understand that? And this is all compounded by the fact that you were also raised in a house with no father and never went to college after high school. And the company that you were working at before marrying my son, I had never even heard of before. Which pretty much means you were working for a no-good company. You don't even have the skills and experience to take care of someone else's needs. So you better start working your butt off now to understand what you need to do before it's too late.
I'm sorry.
I tried so many times to tell my son to find himself another woman to marry, but no matter the pressure I was placing on him, he would not budge. So I had no choice but to let him marry you. But neither my husband nor I are happy about it. You are not in the position to be taking a day off and not brewing my son's coffee just because you felt a little sick. What I'd actually like to know is why you even got sick in the first place. Aren't you supposed to be keeping yourself healthy so that things like that never happen and inconvenience my son?
From now on, I'll be more careful.
You have to be more than just careful. Don't you ever forget about making my son's morning coffee again. Right now, you seem well enough to be going out with him to the next state over, right? Well, if you have that kind of energy and free time on your hands, then come over to my house and take care of all the yard work. You are the most useless wife I've ever had the misfortune of knowing.
Then tomorrow I'll make a trip over to your house, Rosalind. I'll take care of all the cleaning that needs to be done as well as the yard work you have for me.
Don't come. I was just giving you a metaphor. I don't actually need someone as useless as you coming over to my house. I don't even want you coming into our yard and doing anything. We have far more helpful and important people at our house right now to do work, so there is no need for you at all.
All right, then.
Can you tell this to Seth for me then?
What would you like me to say?
Tell him that if you continue to be a waste of his time and money, to divorce you and find someone far more useful to marry.
I don't want us getting divorced, though.
Listen, nobody cares about what you think or what you want, Jess. So please, do not tell me what you want ever again.
I'm sorry. But I think that Seth will have the exact same reaction as me when I tell him this.
How many times are you going to make me have to repeat myself here? I knew that people with no educational background like you are seen as even less capable than a dog. At least they can understand one or two things. No, like I had said, there is no point in talking about your feelings or what you want. Do not say anything else to me or to Seth that would cause any trouble, all right?
Understood. I'm sorry.
I really want to know what Seth thought was so special about you in the first place. Everything about you, from your face to your body to your education, all of it is even worse than that of a simpleton. I made sure to raise my son to be the best in everything, from book smarts to sports, and yet he still did not learn how to find a decent woman. I pray that sooner rather than later his eyesight will improve so that he can leave you and find my family someone far more superior. And then we won't ever have to think about your uselessness ever again.
Rosalind, I'm gonna be a bit late. Are you still awake?
Yes, I'm awake.
I wanted to tell you that my husband still hasn't come back home, and I haven't been able to get any form of a response from him. I tried calling him and also texting him a few times, but there's been no response at all. Do you know what might have happened to him? He told me earlier today that he had to go out and have a talk with his dad as well as take him out, but...
If you're wanting to know where Seth is right now, he's with the daughter of one of his customers, and they are getting along quite well. I don't think he'll be coming back home tonight.
What? What exactly do you mean by that, Rosalind?
You're asking me what I mean by that? Are you actually that stupid where you can't pick up on what I'm saying here? This is the young girl that happens to be the daughter of a very successful CEO, and Seth has always had an eye on her. And well, the young girl has said that she wants to make some lasting memories with Seth now. So my husband, Seth's dad, went ahead and set those two up with one another. He got them to meet at a hotel in the hotel bar and made sure they were well hydrated before letting them talk between one another.
I have no idea what you mean by all of that, though.
To be frank about all this, right now, Seth is going to be spending the rest of his night with that young and wealthy girl. And once that night is over with, he will no longer want anything to do with you anymore and will take her hand in marriage.
Seth would never do something as unfaithful as that to me.
I'm sure that Seth might never do such a thing normally, but when it's for the sake of business, he'll do anything. But because he does seem to have a pretty strong attraction to you, we made sure to give him a little push. You also happen to know how weak Seth is to alcohol, right? All we had to do was get him to drink a little bit, and he was going crazy for her. My husband even told me that after the first cocktail, Seth had his arm wrapped around the young girl. So there is no hope for you and him anymore, Jess. Can't you see the evidence for all this is already in your hands? The reason he hasn't sent you any kind of a response is because he only cares about that CEO's daughter now. My husband is already home now from setting those two up, so they are all by themselves now.
Why would you ever say things like that about your own son and be all right with it?
Because my son brought in a disgraceful wife to my family, and I don't want her around anymore. If you feel as bad for Seth as I do being his mother, then you should understand what this means and should leave him right now. It was a huge mistake on my son's part for thinking that he needed to bring himself so low and marry something like you. And ever since he married you, you've been ruining my son's life, one day at a time, right?
The reason why Seth and I married one another is because we love each other.
And I'm saying that right there is not correct and audacious of you to do. You have no right to be with my son, who is far about whatever disgusting league you belong in. Are you not embarrassed to be dragging my son all the way down to the depths that you came from? You are nothing but a poor and uneducated woman who came from a fatherless family.
I do not find any of what Seth and I have with one another embarrassing.
I'm sure you don't. You would never be able to feel such things as embarrassment because you are too stupid. Seriously, brainless beings like you are the scum of the earth, and even having to talk with one of you brings shame to me. I'm so fed up with you that it's almost made me feel bad looking at just how idiotic you are.
Rosalind, please tell me where my husband is. Tell me right now.
I have no reason to tell such a disgraceful wife as you anything about my son now. Right now, things are going better than I was planning for, so I will not ruin things for my family now. All you should be doing now with your time is getting your things all ready and preparing to leave my son's place. I'm sure in the next couple of days he'll be kicking you out of there.
He most definitely will not. I trust in Seth and don't believe he would ever kick me out of his life.
I'm sure the only reason my son ever fell for you is because he has a thing for the unique. And to us high-end people, you are quite unique indeed. But that interest in you is gone now, and he has learned just like the rest of this family that something like you is not worth his time and money. Also, the money he has belongs to us because he will one day be taking over his dad's company. So we need him to focus on what it means to be high class and forget about useless beings like yourself. And soon, he will realize what I mean. Unlike you, he actually happens to use his brain.
I understand that you all don't have any interest in me and do not want to accept me as part of your family. But I do not believe that my husband shares those same feelings. So please stop meddling with our relationship to one another and just accept what your son wants. I think it's unacceptable of you guys to be trying to force your son to do something he doesn't want. I know that to everyone there are different ideas and opinions of different things. But in this situation, what you and your husband are doing to us is not okay, and anyone besides you both would be able to see that.
Shut your mouth right now. I don't want you talking back to me like that until after I'm 6 feet under. There is no chance in this world that a rotten and filthy woman like yourself, who is even more useless than a car with square tires, is worth being married to my son. Hurry up and leave my son. That is the only thing you can do for my son and our family now, no matter how useless you are otherwise. Jess, I just heard about this from my son. You are having to go back and forth to therapy now?
Yes, that is correct.
And you've had to start going there because you get panic attacks? You really got yourself one of the most interesting illnesses now, haven't you?
You find this to be interesting?
I find it to be pretty amusing, actually. You really think that you can start going to therapy over a panic attack now? You must truly need that therapy then, if you think being panicked is a sickness.
I wouldn't say that.
Then tell me, what would you say? Would you say that there's something even worse about those panic attacks than what other people get? And where did you end up getting that sickness from then, huh? Was it because of the things I said to you a month ago? I suppose then you were getting an earful from me about all sorts of things that helped open your eyes a little. You were probably losing your mind after all the news I told you about Seth. I really did have a fun time then telling you all that.
Is it really that amusing to you that I'm ill now?
Yeah, it sure is. In fact, it's so amazing to me that I might just keep in touch with you to hear more about how much of a weakling you really are. I'm so happy that my son decided to divorce you after all that. He probably realized just as quickly as I did how much of a waste you were when you started to freak out.
I see.
I'll have you know, though, I did not expect you to hear from Seth about getting divorced like that so soon. I was a little afraid that after he brought up you becoming mentally ill, he'd want to stay around and help you fix it. But instead, he told me that you guys got a divorce, and his eyes were truly open then. I'm a little upset about this, however. I think it's all right now to give you a little bit of his money in the divorce. Then you should be able to keep paying for those therapy sessions you need.
The reason I ended up with this terrible anxiety is because of you guys.
What? Is that right, Jess?
And now I am not going to forgive any of you guys for what you've done to me.
Oh, no way. Are you trying to scare me now? But here's the thing. Someone like yourself who has no money or education will never be able to do anything to my family and I.
I don't think you guys and I will ever get the chance to see or talk to one another again.
And that would be wonderful if that really does become the case. If we never have to meet with you again, that would help us all out over here. I would really like my son to make a proper grandchild for my family now with his DNA. Not some mongrel child that has to be made with your low-life, degenerate genetics.
So you're going to start saying things like that now? You really don't know when to shut up, do you?
You think I don't? I think you're the one with the inability to shut up, Jess. You should have kept your mouth shut long ago after doing something as cheeky as marrying my son. But even then, things wouldn't have been any better about you. Because you had really made a child with my son, it would be just as useless as you are. Look, Jess, have you at least been a decent wife to my son, then I would have never been against you being married to him. But when I learned that you're the daughter of a husbandless mother, well...
My mom did everything in her power to make sure I was raised with everything I needed. I do not want you talking trash about my mom and I just because my dad was never around for me.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Even though your mother was never able to even put you in college after high school, you seem to be happy with the way things ended up for you. Well, there we go. We just have different ideas of what makes us happy is all. And the same thing goes for Seth. So he was bound to leave you eventually, whether it was because of his parents' doing or not.
I suppose so. Although I think we should have ended things with one another a lot sooner. There was no reason for Seth and I to be hurt like this.
Don't worry, though. From here on out, Seth will be on his way to a life filled with happiness. Although I'm not sure what kind of depressing future will await you. I guess as long as you're not coming back to our house or my son at all, you will have yourself an all right future. Now, would you please hurry it up and leave the house that my son has been paying for? And I pray to God that we never have to see your face ever again. Jess, it's been a few weeks now, hasn't it? You guys have finished all the divorce paperwork now, and you should be moved out into your own place now, right? Are you having a fun time with your brand new life?
I am. Because of you all, I'm able to relax a lot more and no longer have to be worried about your toxic family. Now, tell me what exactly it is that you want to talk about. I was thinking that you and I were complete strangers now, but it seems you don't share that same feeling?
We were once in-laws to one another, though, right? So you can at least give me a few minutes to have a word with you. Now listen to this, Jess. Soon, I will be meeting with the parents of that very wealthy girl to talk about things like marriage.
Oh, is that right?
We made the right choice having our son divorce such a useless and disgraceful wife like you. My son has grown up quite a lot since he left you, and now he is willing to listen to anything my husband and I tell him. I am so very happy that the two of you got that divorce.
I'm not sure what son of yours you're talking about. Therefore, I think it would be best to tell the parents of that wealthy girl that talks about any sort of marriage are off now.
And what is it that you're talking about now? My son is still my son, and he would love it if my husband and I now went to go and talk with his partner's parents. And he is finally living up to what my husband and I expected from the next generation of my husband's company.
But your son went and cut ties to the both of you. So don't expect for him to ever be coming back to you guys ever again. He chose to come out and continue his life living with me. And that's the path he and I are on now.
Huh?
Right now, Seth is here with me.
Would you please stop lying to me like that? You and him already got the divorce, correct?
He only got that divorce from me in order to get you and your husband off my back and for you guys to think that his relationship to me was over. But now that we're away from you both, he and I plan to get remarried to one another.
Seth, is he really with you wherever you are right now?
Yes, he's right here standing next to me.
Hold on one moment. What? Why am I not able to get any response from Seth right now? I just tried giving him a call even, and the call would not go through.
Seth took the phone he had before along with the number and threw them both away in order to hide from your husband and you.
You tell Seth to call me right now. We have to go out and meet with the daughter of a CEO and her family.
He doesn't plan on going to that with you both. And neither he nor I are anywhere close to you guys, so he can't make it back to you in time, even if he wanted to.
Where the hell did you both go?
I have no desire of telling such a bitchy woman like you that.
Jessica! How dare a lowlife like you call me such a thing?
Are you trying to always start things with me? Because if that's the case, then I have no reason to not start fighting back with such a horrible woman as yourself.
Just shut up already and tell Seth to call me. I don't want to talk to such a brain-dead thing as you anymore.
And I already told you, Seth has gone and cut ties to you and your husband and will no longer be talking to either one of you. He has nothing left that he wants to say to you guys, and he has no reason to go and see you guys anymore. I plan to sell this phone I have and get a new one soon here as well. And when I do, I'm getting a new number and everything. So there will never be another opportunity for you to talk to me again either.
You hold it right there, young lady. You can go and change your phone number all you want, but my husband and I, the whole family even, will come looking for you guys.
I don't mind you coming out and looking for us. Even Seth is saying he's fine with that. But what exactly are you thinking you can do to us? I understand that you and your husband would really like to have Seth in order to take over that company, but it's not like your husband's company is anything special. And neither of us are willing to waste any more of our time getting ready to go and take over a company that's making less than $1 million in profit each year.
Seth was made to take over this company for his dad.
And Seth is telling me to tell you to give it up. He does not want that company, and he most certainly does not want to be around you two.
Why is it now of all times he is saying things like that? Had he told me before that he was concerned about taking over the company, I would have been a lot more lenient with the both of you.
Seth was trying to get you and your husband to understand him and what he wanted, as well as for you guys to just be happy with me as his wife. But not too long after he started to tell you guys how he was feeling, you got him drunk and tried to force him into having to sleep with that young girl. And even before that, he knew about how you had been getting upset over the most trivial things, like me not brewing coffee for him because I was sick. After that night of forcing him onto that younger girl, he did have his eyes opened. But they weren't open to the things you wanted him to see, but the things you tried your best to hide from him. He realized that no matter how hard he and I tried to get you guys to let us be happy, you would continue to try and hurt us.
Hey, Jess, would you please give me one chance to talk with my son right now? I didn't realize that you both were that deeply in love with one another.
Nope. There is no more talking between Seth and you. All you are is a stranger to us now, and an asshole of one at that.
Right now, my husband and I are willing to hear you both out in order to accept the relationship you both want to have with one another.
Well, it's too late for things like that, Rosalind. It's unfortunate that you realized too late that you lost your son, but you can't start trying to get him back now.
It's not too late, though. If you would just let us have a word with him and you, we'd be able to understand you both.
It's because you both did not understand us after all that talking before that things are the way they are now. The thing is, though, you didn't even want to listen to me in the first place, nor your son. So now you're just making it all the more easy for Seth and I to realize that you are lying to us.
Please, Jess. Seth is our only son. He was made with the goal of taking this company from my husband, so you cannot have him. If we can't get him back soon, we will be in serious trouble. The whole company my husband has taken years to perfect will be in trouble. And we do not want to give this company away to anyone else in this family, let alone anyone else in general.
You can keep saying whatever you want to Seth and I, but I'm taking a page out of your book and am just not going to listen anymore. You guys are both the most vile adults I have ever had the misfortune of knowing. Not only did you try and force your son to have a relationship with another girl who happens to be 6 years younger than him, but you did so by making him get drunk and then giving them a hotel room together. And then, to put salt on the wound you made for us, you started to make fun of my mental illness as though having the kind of panic attacks I was having was totally fine. There is no place left for you guys in Seth and my life. So leave the both of us alone.
All right. I promise that my husband and I will never do anything to upset either of you ever again. So would you please come back home to our house and let us discuss everything? And please let Seth know that we want him back.
Remember that I'm not listening to you right now. So you may ask all you want for me to come back there with Seth, but it's not going to happen. Because from now on, he and I are beginning our new life together and will find things far more enjoyable in it. You and your husband, go do whatever the hell it is you want to. Just as long as it has nothing to do with Seth or I. Goodbye now. And I'll be praying that I never have to see your ugly face ever again. After I said goodbye to Rosalind forever, she continued to blow up my phone with calls and texts for the next couple of hours. I was able to ignore it, but Seth didn't seem too calm at the time and took my phone and chucked it at the ground, completely destroying it. I wasn't upset at all, though, because I completely understood his aggression, and the next day he and I went out to get me a new phone and a phone number. After that, we heard about how the position of CEO that was supposed to go to my husband was left empty, and the company had to start thinking about who would take the chair next. There were people from inside the company who could have been given the chair, people in the family, and even people who were shareholders in the company who could have taken the chair. But before the choice could be made of who would become the next CEO, evidence was found showing that Rosalind was using company funding to pay for things like fashion and cosmetics, which led to a swift and easy dismissal of her husband from the company. I really am so glad that Seth and I cut ties to them before all of that ended up happening, because who knows what they would have done to us next. The last things we really heard about those two came a few weeks after Rosalind's husband was fired, and they no longer were a part of that company, and one of those things happened to be what they both started to do next. In an effort to try and find us, they spent a lot of money hiring a private detective to go out and look for us. But, of course, he was never able to find where we ran off to in the U.S. And once they both realized they would never find us again, they gave up and tried to use whatever money they had saved up to just focus on themselves and move away from that city. However, just before they were able to move away, some documentation came in the mail stating that Rosalind would have to pay a very large settlement to the company for spending all those company funds, which ended up being about 2/3 of the amount of money they had left. In the end, they never were able to move out of that city, and with the news of what happened being all over the news and in everyone's ears, Rosalind and her husband would never be able to escape the hell they created. When it comes to Seth and I, we took the moment to get married again, and from there we moved overseas to get even farther from Rosalind and her husband. Seth ended up having a friend in Taiwan that he met back in his college years, and that friend hired him once we got over there to work in the semiconductor business. It's been a bit of a rough time for me getting used to life in a country that doesn't really speak English, and a culture far different from that in the US, but I enjoy the new environment we're in a lot. And I even feel that starting my new life here will lead to me growing even more than I could have back in the US. As for the anxiety that I had, which caused me to panic a lot more than usual people should, it all started to go away little by little since I was no longer stressed by people like Rosalind and her husband. I know that it will never 100% go away, like my therapist had told me, but with the tools she had taught me and the fact that one of my triggers was now gone, I could start to focus on my life around me more and not be freaking out all the time. From now on, I know that the difficulties of life won't be going anywhere, but the fact that I no longer have adults around me who think it's okay to hurt my husband and I has really made a huge difference. Now, with the same love I've always had for my husband, I'm going to continue being his housewife and do everything that I can to make sure that we both live our life together as a family and happily as possible. Thank you for watching and listening. We hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Also, feel free to leave a comment about what you thought of the story. We look forward to seeing you at the next story.